Mixing is forbidden, because the people are holy, and the sons of Aaron are the holy of holies. Nevertheless, as you know, some of the priests and the people are mixing. They are intermarrying, and thereby polluting the holy seed. 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 Dead Sea Scroll, number 4Q398.
It's God's law. He made sparrow, and robin, robin. They're different for a reason.
Big Country the Hebrew.
Negroes only, the blood is shed. Cause you and I, and we and him. He's the root of the tree, I'm just a limb. We some hardcore spiritual, bring that holy scripture to him. We Negroes only, the blood is shed. Cause you and I, and we and him. He's the root of the tree, I'm just a limb. We some hardcore spiritual, bring that holy scripture to him.
If you're a Negro, that means that you're a Hebrew. The chosen seed of Israel, that means no equal to you. But if you're a Hamite, peekaboo, we see you. You sold us to our oppressors on a one-way ticket to Egypt. Them heathens shipped my people away on government-funded slave ships. The evil that we had to endure. Talk back to massa, you get with. You fed our children to alligators.
Motherfuckers are African American.
We have to live out our curses that our stubborn ancestors gave us. Hamashiach, come save us. We trying to be on our best behavior. We the true people of the book because in your image you made us.
We Negroes only, the blood is shed. Cause you and I, and we and him. He's the root of the tree, I'm just a limb. We some hardcore spiritual, bring that holy scripture to him. We Negroes only, the blood is shed. Cause you and I, and we and him. He's the root of the tree, I'm just a limb. We some hardcore spiritual, bring that holy scripture to him.
Are you willing to give up your life like Christ versus the Philistines? Would you take the mark of the beast or place your head in the guillotine? Would you face the east every day and pray even for your enemies? Would you say amazing grace before you eat what's on your plate unto our Elohim? The meek shall inherit the earth. Those who are last are gonna be first. I'm speaking my blessings into existence, so if it's you hate me, it's gonna get worse. You and your family are gonna be cursed for plotting my downfall since my rebirth. So what it is worth, the truth really hurts. For my kingdom work, I will be in birth. 144 singing war chants. You try to avoid the noise, but you can't.
We Negroes only, the blood is shed. Cause you and I, and we and him. He's the root of the tree, I'm just a limb. We some hardcore spiritual, bring that holy scripture to him. We Negroes only, the blood is shed. Cause you and I, and we and him. He's the root of the tree, I'm just a limb. We some hardcore spiritual, bring that holy scripture to him.
I live in Shalom, but don't come to my home with wicked intentions. Because I don't be on none of that bullshit. You get many metal fragments thrown into your backbones. We Negro onlys, we Negro onlys. True bloodline of Shem, that there mean we can't be phonies. Skin like burnt brass, hair just like wool. We slaying each and every one of our opponents. Evil spirits must flee because y'all really don't want it. These are the last days, recompense is coming. We Negro onlys, yeah, we Negro onlys.
We Negroes only, the blood is shed. Cause you and I, and we and him. He's the root of the tree, I'm just a limb. We some hardcore spiritual, bring that holy scripture to him. We Negroes only, the blood is shed. Cause you and I, and we and him. He's the root of the tree, I'm just a limb.
Big Country the Hebrew.
the Biblical Scholar talking about the 12 Tribes chart today. These videos mainly started as a way for me to teach my siblings when we first started, really getting into Christianity. But over the last 5-6 years now that where I am, and after going through what I've gone through, I've learned a thing or two in the Hebrew Israelite community, whatever you want to call it now, Israelite, Hebrew, whatever. They have so many different names now. Honestly, now as a biblical Christian, knowing that it's not just your bloodline alone that gets you into the kingdom, but rather knowing about Christ and following him, things like that, and applying the things that he set forth for us to do, not just to say it like Christians or do extremely crazy things like the Israelites, but follow him, follow his path. Now I'm here to teach my friends, family, and associates alike that are wanting to come into the truth and learn about it. I have a lot of things to basically tell about. I'm pretty sure there's things that you could teach me too, not just all of us teaching each other. But the first topic that we're really ever going to talk about is the 12 tribes of lies. This is what really brought me to go ahead and start doing some of these teachings, because there's so many, lies out there, or so many things that people try to preach with the truth that it just becomes mixed up. But I'm here to basically expound. What's important of these videos, and especially this first slide, is that we are not colorists. We are simply citing the Bible for scholarly use. We have no hatred towards other peoples. We're just going to state facts, and facts are facts. Opinions are opinions. The Bible, of course, is a historical book, as well as not really a religious book, but it's a historical book about the people's rise and fall and their return back to their God and his son coming back for them. That's it in a very, very small nutshell. It's way more complex than that, but that's if you really want to just put it into a sentence. That's that. So the first thing to understand, what is the 12 tribes chart? Where did it come from? The short answer could be camps, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. Why is there even a 12 tribes chart? What are camps, and why is there over 100 different camps? So the 12 tribes chart is a way to basically expound on groups of people. Basically, it's a way to group people together, and it's a way for you to have unified dominion over not just one minority group of blacks, but 2 or 3 or 4 minority groups, pretty much. That's originally what it's for: power and money. Some lesser versions probably for means to mingle with those other people, but majority across the board, it's just to be leader over those groups of people. Now, as it goes down the line, other camps are just completely confused. Like they believe this chart so heartily, but the original ones, the ones on this diagram that I'm about to show you right here, it's really these guys know. These guys know that chart is pretty much garbage and lies. But it started with Abba Bivens that made the Israelite school back in about the 80s. Then it was taken by these 4 men: Mashah, which he renamed himself King David, Yaqub, and Ariah, Yaqub's son, and then Shar. They took it and they then named it IUSPK, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, and then they rechanged it to ICUPK. And then after that, the ICUPK broke off. Well, really, King David broke off from ICUPK and created the House of David. The House of David broke off in the mid-90s. They also had, some notable ones came from there, which is IUIC, GMS, HOI, and, things like that. Another thing to note on these House of David camps is, like, they push the 12 tribes chart heavy. I mean, they all do, but these guys push it the most. IUIC, I'd say some of their teachings are pretty spot on, but it's just that 12 tribes chart is kind of the main thing. There's a lot of other things too. I mean, don't get me wrong, they don't. They're wrong about a lot of things, but GMS, they're oh my gosh, they have a whole rape doctrine and stuff like that. Hopefully in these later lessons I can show you guys some of that. HOI, go up to them, they might smack you up in the middle of the street or hit you with a stick or something. I'll show you an example of that later on. So ICUPK broke off and made this. It changed its name because Arya made a failed prediction back in the 90s that basically stated God would come back on January 1st of 2000 to kill and enslave all white people. So he lost his leadership because of that, and this other guy in yellow took his position, and his name is now the Holy Spirit, the Comforter in the form of a man. Yeah, I don't know. That's just crazy talk to me. Also, Arya, the same guy that had that, God comes back in January 1st, 2000, kill all white people, dream. He was the one that created the 12 tribes chart, and we'll, watch a video of that in a minute. But after going down the line, Rachaw broke off from them. He made GOCC, and then Johanna broke off from them and made a new camp, going back to the original name, ISUPK. His name's the General now, of, General Johanna. Him, I'll show you what's, they're interesting. Rachaw, he's kind of like the coon of the Israelites. Coon is not a bad word. It's just a black person that loves the oppressors so much. It's crazy. My dad actually follows him, and my dad is now conveniently dating, probably about to marry a white woman. So there you go. That's that.
Hey, so-called white man. And you ain't gonna be holding your arms all folded like you bad. You faggots ain't bad. You're a bunch of faggots. We can't wait to kill your stupid faggot ass. We can't wait to put your ass to death.
Reuben is a Seminole Indian. Gad is a North American Indian. Asher is a Brazilian Indian. Naphtali is the Argentinian Indians. Issachar is the Mexican Indians.
There's history of Joseph Smith claiming that certain Native Americans in New York were descendants of the Israelites. And you had people that would make these claims all the time, but they would present no evidence. These are just claims. Whenever you look up this so-called evidence of some Indian Jewish connection, Israelite and a Native American connection, it all goes back to lies, hoax, false evidence, just a hoax where people try to get money. Ronald Sanders' Lost Tribes and Promised Lands, there's a part that talks about the tribe of Joseph is on an island nearby, and that these Indians were saying they were saying the three Shemais. They were saying the hero Israel in some form of Hebrew, supposedly. But these claims, were they ever verified? Can they be corroborated? And you don't see much evidence for it. It seems like these are religious people that try to convince other people that they found the 12 tribes of Israel, which is what Arya is doing. He's just doing that in his version of the 12 tribes. They used to say different things about the 12 tribes. When you read the Bible, the 12 tribes, it doesn't say anything about them going to any specific place. It just says that they went to a place and they called it Arsaret. What the evidence shows is that the Native Americans are descendants of Asians. I've said this before, and I told a brother in GMS this when we met downtown Orlando one time in the street, and they were out there preaching with the 12 tribe sign. I told a brother that Native Americans are descendants of Asians, and they've been cut off for tens of thousands of years from the land bridge that was once there, and that land bridge used to connect Canada to Russia, Alaska to Russia.
Now, one of the most important things that happened in the Americas before they were discovered by Europeans was the arrival of the first Americans during the last ice age. The people who would become Native Americans came from Asia, when ice age climate changes caused sea levels to drop by over 360 feet. The area between Asia and America, called Beringia by scientists, has often been described as a land bridge. But bridge is the wrong word. This description is inaccurate in several important ways. First, the word bridge suggests a narrow structure that connects one place with another place. The bridges we build, after all, are only as wide as they need to be to allow the traffic to get across them. Beringia was not that kind of narrow bridge. It was actually as wide as Alaska. Second, the word bridge suggests that people were traveling. Actually, Beringia was a place where people lived. When we build bridges, the whole point is getting from point A to point B. So it's tempting to think that even though Beringia formed naturally, that when people saw it, they took advantage of the opportunity to cross. It's easy to get that impression that Beringia was a temporary land bridge, since it's no longer there. But actually, Beringia lasted over 10,000 years. That's twice as long as all of recorded history, and 20 times longer than Europeans have been in the Americas. Beringia was a place where generations of people lived for thousands of years. Archaeologists have actually found the remains of Beringian settlements that are over 30,000 years.
So why is there a 12 tribes chart? So to go back to what I was saying earlier was simplicity, ease of doctrine, pretty much. That's what this is for. It's like a rapid deployable, C++ executable program. Like you could literally just copy and paste it everywhere, wherever you want. It's pretty easy. You roll into a third world African country and just have a chart, explain who everybody is. Well, then, I'm saying you already have organization out the way, but there's no way to actually know where everybody is, honestly. As much as I'd love to have Levi be Haitians, you can't tell everybody in Haiti is Levi. Like, that's impossible. Honestly, God said we would be scattered into all nations, not just these 12, or, even if it is, you don't know who for sure. Trying to use loosely based scriptures like Genesis, I forgot what it's, Genesis 46, Genesis chapter 46. Yeah, it's crazy, man. But sometimes to back this chart up, they use Ezekiel 37:16, which basically states, take one stick and on another, put them together, and you get this. And I'm like, that's not what that's talking about. But as we continue on, you'll see the hypocrisy and lies these people have made, and that the liars they are. Let's just go ahead and continue. So one thing to know on why there's so many camps, and they always usually dress like Mortal Kombat characters for some odd reason, but that's their taste. I'm not here to make fun of anybody's choices. But they branch off one another, as we saw 2 slides ago. There's changes of leaderships. How Arya lost his leadership to the yellow dude because of a false prediction. Literally, they are the Christian church, just with a black Jesus, honestly. 8 original Christian denominations broke off from the Catholic Church. 7 original camps broke off from the Israelite School of Practical Knowledge. Now there are over 41,000 Christian denominations worldwide in 144 different camps in the United States alone. There's no telling how many other camps there are around the world. Anyways, these are the sources to back up these claims. They will be linked under the video. So the thing to understand about camps is that they are usually foolish. They hate their own people. Most of the time they hate black people, especially if they're the ones pushing the chart. I mean, I haven't seen a camp yet that hasn't been pushing the chart that loves their people pretty much to the point where they're not deriding them. They would deride black women and uphold Latin women by not saying anything. They always say black women this, black women that. Well, if Latin women are part of that, wouldn't you be saying the same thing about them? Come on now. They deride black men, calling them effeminate. Same thing, they don't really say much about a Latin man. They talk about irrelevant things when it comes to teaching. You're gonna see out throughout most of these teachings, these videos that I put out, constantly about certain things, sometimes go over different sources. You'll see them talk about really irrelevant things when it comes to teaching. And even in this slide, carry on, you'll see it. So they don't acknowledge Ephesians 4:29 most of the time. So instead, let's look at a couple of examples.
It's biblical. You can read about that. It's biblical. You can read about that in 2 Ezra 16, Matthew 24. Look, take a look at the black woman. She always got to be the loudest. Look at the white man observing the slaves, making sure they stay in order. This is what's happening in the society today. It happened during the time of Christ. Just take a look at the loud black woman. She's often loud, obnoxious, don't want a man, can't keep a man, got to be out in front. Okay, got so much to say, always overweight generally. Hates God's laws, like when you read Deuteronomy 22 verse 5, women shall not wear what men wear. She don't give a damn about that. She's going to dress like a man, act like a man, and try to be soft-spoken. She attempts to be soft-spoken, but generally she is not. And if there's a black man with her, he's just on the side. He's docile. He's somewhat effeminate. And so anyway, I said all that to say this. They hired black people to come against the truth that the Israelites are teaching. And it's going to fail. Look at the white man observing. He's going to fail miserably. Okay, and he's going to come against us. Expect it. All right, so take a look, take a listen. I lie not. These black people are on a mission. The black woman is on a mission to try to destroy the truth that our people are the Israelites and must keep the commandments. And I'm getting on a black woman because she's often in front. But it's also the black man, too, behind the scenes who just died.
Out of the same mouth proceedeth blessings and cursings. My brethren, these things ought not so to be. Doeth a fountain send forth at the same place sweet water and bitter? Can the fig tree, my brethren, hear olive berries, either a vine, figs? So can no fountain both yield salt water and fresh? Okay,
I'm going to say this.
Advised for this one, please lower your volume or put headphones in because this guy will say a couple of things that are questionable. I'm just at a loss for words on this one.
I'm going to say this briefly and I'm going to prove it later. There is no penis that is superior to the penis of the man from the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. Your penis is the superior penis on this globe. That Puerto Rican penis is superior to an African's. That so-called Negro, your penis is superior to an African. The Mexican penis, the Guatemalan penis, the Haitian penis, the Panamanian penis, the West Indian penis is superior to the penises in Africa.
When I go up into ISUPK, when I opened the door, Sonetta, first of all, it was musty. It was musty. All I saw was oiled brothers half-naked brothers doing push-ups. There was not a sister in the mix, but I'm a feminine. You've seen my wife, you see members of my shrine.
But shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness.
To prove more of my point.
You're making me want to curse.
And I don't curse, man. You're
Well,
making me want to curse.
how can I
Let
make
me
you
read
want to
it again.
curse?
Let me read it again. Let me
If
read
it's
it again.
if you want to curse, that means it was already in you to curse.
Let me read it again. Let me
You
read
read
it again. Let me read it again. I'm going to read it. And while Peter yet spake these words, the Holy Ghost fell on all them which heard the word. And they of the circumcision which believed were astonished, as many as came with Peter, because that on the Gentiles also was poured out the gift of the Holy Ghost, because it was a long-standing custom that there was no hope or salvation for the Gentiles, because they were never coming to the temple. So that's why they of the circumcision which believed, they were shocked that now they were seeing that these people who they kept out of the temple, now salvation was brought unto them. It had nothing to speak with, no speaking, no
Yes,
different
it does, because
language.
they
You
spoke in tongues
idiots.
right after that.
You're
If you go right down there, they did everything the same way. Because right after they received the Holy Ghost, they got baptized. It happened the same exact way. That's why they were astonished. They did it the same exact way. If you go to Acts chapter 19, it was done the same way there too. So how can you deny it? If you're reading it, how
listen to
can
me,
you
listen to me,
deny
listen to
that?
me.
But it's important to note it was already in him to curse. Now, so be it, the guy that was trying to, get on, be right, the young guy, he was wrong, really, but, there was a way to explain it other than just saying, I'm about to curse you out. So, it's that.
To prove
You,
more
you,
of
you,
my point.
you making me want to curse. And I don't curse, man. You're
Well,
making me want to curse.
how can I
Let
make
me
you
read
want to
it again.
curse?
Let me read it again. Let me read it again.
If you want to curse, that means it was already in you to
Let
curse.
me read it again. Let me
You
read
read
it
it.
again.
If any man among you seem to be religious, and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is vain. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. Now, in the last video, he withheld his mouth from cursing, but if you watch his Friday Night Raw classes, he curses a lot of people and things out which none of the apostles nor Christ would approve of, because this is not goodly edifying. So this is another camp. This is HOI. The HOI is honestly one of the original camps that broke off of the House of David. This is a quote-unquote Northern Kingdom Ephraim man. Yeah, that just says enough right there. Basically, guys, he's hitting, to what I can see, a white guy on the top of his head with a staff. Honestly, I'm not sure what was going on there, but I mean, I don't even need to bring a Bible verse out for this one, but for the sake of explanation, I will. Proverbs chapter 28, verse 17. A man that doeth violence to the blood of any man shall flee to the pit. Let no man stay him. Wait, so you may be asking the question, who are God's chosen people now? I think you could guess where we're about to go with this one. We are biblical Christians after all. So according to the scriptures, God's chosen people are those scattered throughout the world in every nation. We will do scholarly based conclusions from verses we've gathered. There's a lot of bad rep for the bloodline of Israel and who the true children of Israel are today, because there are evil people leading camps and teaching heresies. They make the Bible look bad and put out a certain stereotype on it, such as hate. So there's two huge misconceptions in today's world, and we're going to talk about the Hispanics and Blacks camp doctrine today, but we are definitely going to expound on the worldly view, which is viewed by most to be true. So we're going to talk about that one in a later class, probably, after I teach you guys the important basics of the Bible. But let's talk about the Hispanics and Blacks. So Baruch 4:3, give not thine honor to another, nor the things that are profitable unto thee to a strange nation. It's important to note. Now, the Jews in Israel today, we could read Revelation chapter 2, verse 9, and it talks about them. This is out of Christ's mouth. He was speaking to John on the island Pathros, I think. This was well after he died. So let's read what Christ said. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. See, you have to understand the first part of that sentence is actually going to the dispersed people because they're broke and poor. But we're actually rich in spirit, so that's why I said, but thou art rich. And this is talking about a second person, and I know the blasphemy of them. Them is somebody else. They say they're Jews, but they're not. See the importance in that. So the correct understanding is that Negroes are scattered in every country, every nation. You could read Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 14 through 57. But the key takeaway curses that you're going to need for this lesson is that we will be the fewest in all nations. We will have no might in our hands. We will be called a byword among all people, and we will be sold on slave ships. Those are the main important things that you need to consider. Hispanics and Native Americans are not biblical Israelites. Now, before you get emotional, or get mad, or whoever's watching us, we will explain this throughout this entire slide and hopefully throughout more lessons because this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more to explain here and a lot more to go over. But hopefully after this lesson, you gleaned the information that you needed to understand that they don't really fit the curses. So the topics we're going to go over to explain or, further explain our statement is population sizes, Stockholm Syndrome, the hatred that is equivalent to the other nations for the blacks, and there are few blacks. Basically, if there are few blacks, then there are fewer derivatives of it. We will also talk about that. Egypt of old and Egypt of new, that will be a separate class in video. Basically, it's going to be talking about the Israelites' exodus from old Egypt and the Israelites' exodus from this Egypt and what could be comparably seen between them. So here we go with that. The first thing to understand is when it comes to population sizes, we will be the fewest in all nations. I mean, blacks are the fewest people in the United States. We are the lowest number within the United States. If we use one country off of the 12 tribes chart, such as Mexico, we could see a population size of 128.9 million people. And with a black population of 1.38 million. This alone proves Deuteronomy 4:27, as the black population in Mexico makes up 1.2% of the population. So that's, as you can see, that's what's going on here. Actually, it was updated. It's 2.5 million, but still, it's still a lot of little people. Population. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 27. And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord shall lead you. Now, the important takeaway in this verse is that ye shall be left few in number. Not the whole population, not the whole country. Like, what's going on here? No, that's foolishness. Certain countries, we probably are fourth or third in population. But that's like an example of the Igbos in Nigeria, where they make up like 20 million of their population of their 250 million. You have to look at those numbers, but that's those are just rare cases. Mainly, what you have to understand is that this is where a problem comes in. If you listen to the camps teach about this, they will say Mexicans are Israelites. Just any Mexican is an Israelite. And then run to Hosea chapter 7, verse 8 to justify their claims of the color differentiation between all of the Mexicans. We're not saying color is a big determining factor on whether you are an Israelite or not, or whether you're going to get saved or not. But it's important to note that if most of us that came off those ships were black, and we are already few in number. Don't you think that there would be a fewer derivative of, those black people? If it's already a few black people that are the Israelites, which we know black people are, especially the ones that came off, the ones that came off the slave ships, and you now have a whole bunch of different colored people, different coloration of people. Don't you think they would? Now let's talk about the true understanding of Hosea 7:8. Hosea, the 7th chapter, is talking about the northern kingdom's idolatry against the Lord and all their other sins against them. It then goes on to describe Ephraim as a cake not turned, like their spirits were left in the oven, as verse 4 expounds on. Another similitude to this is found in the New Testament in Revelation chapter 3, verse 15 through 16. It's very similar. Let's take a look at it. Revelation chapter 3, verse 15 through 16. Verse 15. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou were cold or hot. Verse 16. So then, because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. This is Christ talking, of course. See, with Hosea 7:8, it makes references towards a burner and a stove throughout the beginning of that verse. And if you read back even more, it talks more about idolatry. So when Ephraim mixed themselves among the people, it wasn't about them sleeping with a whole bunch of different nations. It's really about them taking trust in those nations rather than the Lord. You have half faith. You don't really have the full faith of the Lord. So read verse 4 of Hosea 7:8, and you would definitely understand that. Stockholm Syndrome. If we think critically for a minute about the motives of the Israelite camps, we must ask why include a large sum of people that do not care for the truth, or if they do, it's by feedback reinforcement of their surroundings. There was a video of pretty, out of shape Israelite man lusting over Hispanic women, saying that they better be part of Israel, stuff like that. It's like, look like a pretty young guy, honestly. If it wasn't for that chart, he wouldn't be like this. But let's go ahead and continue on. Surroundings. Hence why most Hispanics that join these camps either have a black partner or grew up around black people. If they really are God's people, wouldn't they join no matter what feedback reinforcement they had? When I say join, I mean claim the faith of Christ, in the sense he's coming to deliver his people. Let's give an example. If you were to put a black kid in a predominantly white environment and in his later years teach him the truth of the Bible, you would have a higher success rate of him coming into the truth than a Hispanic of the same setting. Why? Because John chapter 10, verse 27 through 28, the sheep of the Lord know his voice. Also, if you just look at the camps that preach this doctrine, the only Hispanics in their camps are pretty much the ones that are married onto black people, or they grew up in that environment. So the ones that don't really know their heritage. Basically, honestly, what I think about these camps trying to include Hispanics and Native Americans of non-Afro descent, boasting Hosea 7:8, completely taken out of context, by the way, is the Stockholm Syndrome many of them have. They want to still be with a lighter toned counterpart without it being the white man. So they take the white man and every other man's half-bred children and try to concoct a false image for them so that they marry, congregate, and feel at ease for their syndrome's sake. For their syndrome's sake, of course. This video will speak for itself, of course. I have no words. Just disappointment.
Prison game. Yeah, it's disgusting, man. The black woman is disgusting. And see, this one thing, the truth, man, this truth opens your eyes, man, to the illusion of this place. Babylon is one big illusion. Because before I came into the truth, I thought the black woman was the finest thing going, man. Now I come into the truth, man, I was like, ugh, man, what was on my mind? But I had them demons on me, man. You think the black woman was the... No, man, hell no. Them northern tribe women, northern kingdom women, they far outshine, you know, you Judite and...
Now, when you see this video, you'll see exactly the issue our people have, especially with lusting after other nations' women. So I remember in mid-2000s, not mid-2000s, but, you know, mid-2010s, it used to be Indian women for some weird reason. Now it's Latino women. So, honestly, let's look up the definition of covetousness. Covetousness is an envious eagerness to possess something. Envy, a feeling of grudging admiration and desire to have something that is possessed by another. So Jeremiah 8:10, Jeremiah chapter 8 verse 10, of course. Therefore will I give their wives unto others, and their fields to them that shall inherit them. For everyone from the least given unto the greatest is given to covetousness. From the prophet even unto the priest, everyone dealeth falsely.
Love Laticas. I'm so tired of y'all. Y'all do not like Latino women. Y'all just fetishize white women who happen to speak Spanish and have attitude problems that you call feisty. The proud Panameño and Afro-Latino male, I find it hilarious how y'all can't tell the difference between race and ethnicity. Because there are black women that are Latinas. Hermana mayor y mi mamá es de Panama. Yo soy de Panama. We're black. What's not clicking, Steven? Whenever I hear black men say on a regular basis, oh, I don't like black women, I like Latinas, the ignorance pops out immediately. Because it's quite literally almost like a dog whistle. Y'all like white Latinas. The decent amount of white Latinas and Latinos don't recognize Afro-Latinos as being part of the Latin culture. I would know this because me, my mom, and my sister experience this on a regular basis. Because let us go into a restaurant or a place of business and something goes wrong. Or there's like a mild inconvenience. There happens to be a group of white Latinos or Latinos who don't know we speak Spanish or discredit or doubt that we know how to speak Spanish. And they'll talk smack about us in front of us without thinking we know Spanish. ¿Tienes algún problema? Now y'all shocked.
Latinas.
I'm half black.
Our second to last topic, the hatred these people have for us. So basically, this point is huge, guys, but it's not the final nail in the coffin. The sheer hatred I've seen personally, politically, and substantially from covered news says a lot about these people the Black Hebrew Israelites hold so dear to them. I will give an example of all three aforementioned, the first being family ties. So one of my friends, his grandma is Puerto Rican and is married to a black man. The one thing I noticed growing up in her house, well, basically, because he's my friend and visiting her for, you know, holidays or something like that, is that her side of the family never shows up. For all the 10 years I grew up with them, I never saw her family side, but I saw basically
fully Puerto Rican.
his grandpa's side, which were all black people. And then one day, my friend told me, he said, the reason you never saw
says Acosta became verbally abusive when he did that.
Of the family is because when grandma and grandpa were younger, and she first got pregnant by him, her family cut her off because she got pregnant by a black man. So I asked him, what would happen if it was a white man? He honestly said they probably would have made them get married instantly, but because it was a black man, they cut her off and basically tried to get an abortion. So, yeah, tough.
Bartender to remove her third beer. The bartender says Acosta became verbally abusive when he did that, saying to her friend that this is why she, quote, hated black people and, quote, hated representing them. The bartender then told Acosta and her friend they were causing a scene and would have to leave. He told city investigators she then said he would, quote, never be more than a black piece of expletive bartender. The bartender repeatedly asked Acosta to leave, and she then said, quote, I hate black people, I really do. Black people are the lowlifes of society, and it's for that reason she doesn't have to listen to a black piece of expletive like me. The bartender says Acosta continued shouting and cussing as the manager escorted her off the patio. He said he didn't hear racial slurs, but heard Acosta loudly say, quote, she hated black people. Another server told the city she heard that comment and also heard Acosta say, quote, the KKK will be calling on you. That manager told the bartender to remove her third beer.
I'm half black. My mom is
fully Puerto Rican, and my dad Puerto Rican. I'm half black. My mom is fully Puerto Rican, and my dad is obviously African American. Hispanics are racist. Let me just tell you that now. I'm not talking about my mom, but in general, Hispanics are racist towards blacks. Like, I'm the firstborn black person in my family, full of Puerto Rican. And when I was born, I was not liked because obviously I was black and I wasn't fully Puerto Rican. And I have an uncle who makes comments about my hair, about how I can never just wear it straight for more than a couple months. He would talk about how nappy it is. And my family always categorized black people as the ghettos, the thugs, everything that white people say. Me, I am.
First John chapter 3 verse 15. Whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer, and ye know that no murderer hath eternal life abiding in him. Now, before I go ahead and read the monologue that was written by the team before we get to before we get to that, I'm going to read or tell you about this. So this is a post about American medicine being built off of black people and how it, how they benefited so much off of us as a people. And what happened? Some, I guess, racist Mexican guy, commented under the post stating that, hey, Blackie, just wanted to let you know white people are not dying out. There may be less of them because black men are finally smartening up and realizing they don't want their filthy women anymore. I'm Mexican. I want you to know that every race, Asian, white, Hispanic, etc., wants y'all to perish. White will forever be the richest, happiest, run every business, every political house, the beauty standard, etc. I hope the police get more of y'all. Y'all literally dying left and right in the projects. LMFAOOO. And us Mexican, Latin American people are only increasing, and we hate y'all more than white people. So buckle up. It's only about to get worse. This new corona vaccine was tested on y'all too. As you can see, if you just look around, things prove your point, especially when your point's logical and not absurd, like a 12 tribes chart, which is absurd and not logical at all. It makes no sense how people that's been living on these continents for more than 13,000 years are related to people that just got here about 420 years ago. So I don't know. It's crazy to me, honestly. But let's go ahead and continue reading the monologue. Another point on hatred is that in these so-called Northern Kingdom countries, they treat their black counterparts like trash. They treat these so-called Afro-Hispanics with much ridicule. As much of the same in America on how whites treat blacks. Yep, there you go. Lastly is political. These so-called northern tribes, some individual, like, Hebrew Israelites like to call them northern heathens, but I just wanted to point out because that's kind of funny, only see blacks, the real Jews, as lower class to them. But because the blacks in America have things they desire, such as citizenship, I have a cold, so it's kind of hard for me to speak, money, and a stronger foothold for equal rights, they tend to pacify themselves for a time until being restored like their other heathen brethren. Now, the reason I bring this out is because even the most wicked of our people wouldn't go this far of cutting off their own daughter for marrying a black man. Or even in the countries we govern, we don't put hateful laws in place on the minority around us. And lastly, we do not try to have the power to politically oppress others, nor do we go out of our way and try. Now, I'm not saying all blacks are not capable of doing, nor am I saying they have not attempted to do this, but what I am saying is that the vast majority of blacks are not capable, nor will be willing to do what was aforementioned. To put this in simplest terms, you don't hear a black man shooting up a predominantly white church and getting away with it. Nor do you see a black man killing an innocent 10-year-old Hispanic child that was carrying Skittles from a gas station back home. Search up the case Trayvon Martin. That's what I'm referencing. Lastly is this verse from the New Testament, basically, which states, whosoever hates his brother is a murderer. And we just read that. So let's continue on to the next topic. Ooh. Okay, so this is like a quote-unquote Emmett Till situation. This is a Hispanic woman trying to, I guess, bait a black guy. I don't know. He works in a gym, and basically in gyms there's a rule where you're not supposed to strip down in the middle of the, lobby. You're supposed to go to the, to the back rooms, but she wasn't doing that. She was just stripping down in the middle of the gym, and he looked at her, and she mistaked him for, trying to look at her. And basically, people in the comment sections came to the same conclusion I did. She was, of course, a Mexican / Hispanic woman. This woman is similar to the woman that accused Emmett Till, throwing false accusations without speaking about real-world consequences. Her accusation could have gotten that man fired on a false pretense. If this been 1960s, he would have got killed. Honestly, he wouldn't even be working there. But honestly, why would she be dressing like this? I mean, I could tell you right now, he's probably, I know black guys, they're not looking at this. They're not looking at that. It's just, let's just continue on the next pretense. So we're down to the last point. Hispanic is different from Afro-Hispanic. That was the main kicker in all of this, but as you can see, there's a clear distinction between the black Hispanics and the regular Hispanics. Why do you think they even put Afro in front of the heritage to show there's a difference? Same thing with the word American, Afro-American. This shows we are a byword to all nations. There has to be a subclass to you, basically. You can't get away with saying you're just an American like all the other Americans, Another kicker is they know they're not Israel. Before these ABC camps started pushing this lie, the Mormons and fake Jews of Portugal started pushing these lies to the Native Americans well before the slave trade started. That itself is a lot of information, but the main rabbi behind this was Rabbi Manasseh ben Israel, a white man from Portugal in 1657. Him, a couple other, people.
Stay focused,
I
black
don't agree
folks.
with his statement on Uvalde, Texas, but I can see this as a brutal reality for blacks in America. Even at my job, they held a $30,000 grant for Uvalde victims. Sorry for butchering that name. I don't even know how to say it, honestly. Anyways, but for
Stay
the New
focused.
York
Don't
massacre,
cry. They
they
didn't cry
didn't
with
even
us.
announce it. They didn't even acknowledge it. I mean, this is a predominantly white institution, but like, they didn't even announce that a massacre happened. So in New York, they really definitely announced the Uvalde one and raised money for it. So this alone shows you who the true children of Israel are. You just can't deny it, honestly. So conclusion time. So what we learned today was that Hispanics and Native Americans are not Israelites. Blacks are the chosen people of God. Blacks are the fewest in every nation. Camps are jokes and liars, and should be avoided at all costs. The 12 Tribes chart was made by a heretic. And another conclusion time. So, well, second part of the conclusion time, not another part. So the advanced topics that we will talk about next time is who are the people who call themselves Jews in Israel. We touched on that just a tad bit, but we're definitely going to expound on that more later. Who is every race biblically, and what's going to happen in the end times according to scriptures, not theories. Blacks are not Native Americans, nor were the original Native Americans blacks. We're also going to dive into that. Those are huge topics that are going to be put into videos because PowerPoints are mainly no. So next advanced topic, who are Gentiles biblically and today? There's many more topics which I will cover for you younger siblings and you friends of mine that seek understanding. I'm still learning new things just as you are, but I hope we can all edify each other through brotherly love. Below are some topics we need to go over next though. So the main topics that we're going to go over next, like completely next, is how to annotate and highlight your Bible. Now, so take it this way. Every word in the Bible is important, but which words stick out to you the most? Which words apply to your life the most? That's what you need to ask yourself, because every word in the Bible is important. Everybody has a different walk with God. Honestly, everybody does. Don't listen to the camps. They like to say it's a walk as a nation or nobody has a personal relationship with God. If that was true, then why would God allow Lot to come out of Sodom and Gomorrah? Like, you guys, camps are just goofy. I don't know what to say about it. Anyways, on to the next topic is prayers and fasting. We're going to go ahead and talk about prayers and, prayers to say while you're eating, prayers to say when you go to sleep, and when you should fast, or, what type of schedule you want to set up for yourself if you want to fast. And the next big thing is how to get into the forever kingdom. That's what we're really here for. We could care less about all this other information, honestly. I mean, even if you didn't even know, it's important to know who the Israelites are because you got to know where you stand according to that salvation. But it's just that's the most important thing out of all of this. You don't want to just know all this information and then go to hell at the end, because that sucks. You're not going to really die when you go to hell, by the way. You're just going to be burning while you're alive. Like, you can't die. So with that being said, the most advanced topics from now on may be in video format as it's faster and more easily deployable. Yeah, so that too. I was having a lot of issues with the PowerPoint, but honestly it allows me to pack a lot more information into it. But now I'm about to go to a video format because this took me literally 4 hours to make. No joke. So there we go with that. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys gleaned something from all of this. Video format probably would have had way more information, but it's okay, I guess. Love you guys and stay in the spirit. Peace out.